Well, shalom, shalom. I want to welcome everyone here today to this conference call. Today our discussion is about Noah's 360-day year, and that proves the Creator's calendar. This study utilizes a 360-day calendar, as were most ancient calendars. This was likely the calendar passed down to these various cultures from Noah and his family before deviations occurred. Abraham used the 360-day year, which was known in Ur. No one used the 365-day year until the Egyptians, according to Herodotus, Book 2, line 4. The Egyptians were descendants of Noah's grandson, Mitzrayim, son of Ham. So this was well after the flood. Virtually all other ancient calendars used a 360-day year. This is an examination of the flood account in Genesis 6 through 8 today that we're going to do. This will be giving some time-related milestones that form the overall structure in the progression of the year-long global flood using the calendar that Noah used. And here is the captain's log of Noah, and it can be found in Genesis 6 through 8. And it would be great to read his log book, but we have an accurate recording in the book of Genesis that Moses wrote down for us. So we're going to go through a chart here with the timeline, duration, month, day, description, and Bible reference. And we're starting out at the beginning. The initial reference point is the 600th year of Noah's life, the second month, the 17th day of the month. 600 year, and the description is the same, the 600th year of Noah's life. And that's found in Genesis 7:11. And these scriptures are going to be repeating what I'm saying, but I wanted to have the scripture here so that you could read it for yourself. And Brother Pete agreed to help with the reading of the scripture today.
Genesis 7:11. In the 600th year of Noah's life, on the 17th day of the second month, on that same day, all the springs of the great deep burst forth, and the floodgates of the heavens were opened.
So that is the second month of the 17th day. Now our duration is going to be 40 days and nights. And the third month, it is the 27th day, the third month. And the description is rain fell for 40 days, and then water covered the earth's highest places. At that time it would be over 20 feet or 15 cubits. And began the stage of flooding until the next milestone. And these verses are found in Genesis 7.
Genesis 7:12. And rain fell on the earth 40 days and 40 nights. Genesis 7:17 through 20. For 40 days the flood kept coming on the earth, and as the waters increased, they lifted the ark high above the earth. The waters rose and increased greatly on the earth, and the ark floated on the surface of the water. They rose greatly on the earth, all the mountains under the entire heavens were covered. The waters rose and covered the mountains to a depth of more than 15 cubits.
So there's our time stamp, the third month, the 27th day, and that equals 40 days right there. So now our duration is going to be 150 days, but that also includes that 40-day time. And the timing of the month, it's the 7th month, the 17th day of the month. The waters flooded the earth 150 days, as it says in Genesis 7.
Genesis 7:24. The waters flooded the earth for 150 days.
So I like the scripture so you can see what it says for yourself. And up here I have the 5 calendar months. Each one of them are 30 days long, showing a 5-month period. of 30 days each. And so this proves the calendar of Noah used 30-day months. And here's another chart. I like pictures and charts, and this is another one showing the day it started, the 17th day of the second month, ending the 17th day of the 7th month. And it shows your 150 days, which is a 5-month period. So this is the same date again. We're just going to describe it a little more. The water rose to its highest level, covering the whole earth, sometime between the 40th and 150th day. And the end of these 150 days was the 17th day of the 7th month. The ark rested on the mountains of Ararat on the 150th day. The springs of the great deep were shut off, and the rain from above ceased, and the water began continually. And here we're repeating it again in Scripture.
Genesis 8, 2 through 5. Now the springs of the deep and the floodgates of heaven had been closed, and the rain had stopped falling from the sky. The water receded steadily from the earth. At the end of the 150 days, the water had gone down, and on the 17th day of the 17th month, the ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat, on the 17th day of the 7th month, the ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. The waters continued to recede until the 10th month, and on the first day of the 10th month, the tops of the mountains became visible.
Okay, here's a good question. How long did it rain?
In Genesis 7:24, did the flood rains last 40 days or 150 days? Problem. Genesis 7:24 and 8:3 speak of the flood waters lasting for 150 days, but other verses say it was only 40 days, Genesis 7:4, 12, and 17, which is correct. Solution. These numbers refer to different things. 40 days refer to how long the rain fell. That's in verse 7:12. And 150 days speaks of how long the waters prevailed. That's 7:24. At the end of the 150 days, the waters decreased. That's verse 8:3. After this, it was not until the 5th month, after the rain began that the ark rested on the Mount of Ararat, and that is verse 8 and 4.
Okay, so now we have another duration, 74 days. And the month is the 10th month, the first day of the month. The tops of the mountains became visible on the 10th month on the first day.
Genesis 8:5. The waters continued to recede until the 10th month, and on the first day of the 10th month, the tops of the mountains became visible.
And here we go again with our timestamp, which the first day of the month would be New Moon Day. Now we're going 40 more days. So we've got 224, and now we're going to add 40, and that's going to make a total of 264. Now the 40 days, the 11th month, the 11th day of the month, after 40 more days, Noah sent out a raven, and that's Genesis 8:6.
Genesis 8:6. For 40 days, after 40 days, Noah opened a window he had made in the ark.
Okay, and our timeline is at 264, and we're going to the 1 year point, the 360. And this is the 11th month and the 11th day. Okay, now we're going to add 7 more days, making 271. The 11th month, the 18th day of the month is our time. And the description is, the dove was sent out 7 days after the raven. It had no resting place and returned to Noah.
This is Genesis 8, 6 through 12. After 40 days, Noah opened a window he had made in the ark and sent out a raven, and it kept flying back and forth until the water had dried up from the earth. Then he sent out a dove to see if the water had receded from the surface of the ground. But the dove could find nowhere to perch because there was water over all the surface of the earth. And so it returned to Noah in the ark, and he reached out his hand and took the dove and brought it back to himself in the ark. He waited 7 more days and again sent out the dove from the ark. And when the dove returned to him in the evening, there in its beak was a freshly plucked olive leaf. Then Noah knew that the water had receded from the earth. He waited 7 more days and sent the dove out again, but this time it did not return to him.
Okay, and our time stamp is the 11th month, the 18th day.
This 7-day period is not directly stated in the text, but can be derived from the subsequent verses. Genesis 8:10 states that Noah waited, quote, yet another 7 days, end quote, before sending the dove out a second time. This implies that there was an initial 7-day period between the sending of the raven and the dove.
Okay, now our duration is going to be 7 days. That's going to be 271 plus 7. We're going to have a total on our timeline of 278 days. And our month is the 11th month, the 25th day of the month. So after 7 more days, Noah sent out the dove again. It returned again, but this time with an olive leaf in its beak.
Genesis 8, 8 through 10. Then he sent out a dove to see if the water had receded from the surface of the ground. But the dove could find nowhere to perch because there was water over all the surface of the earth. And so it returned to Noah in the ark, and he reached out his hand and took the dove and brought it back to himself in the ark. He waited 7 more days and again sent out the dove from the ark. And when the dove returned to him in the evening, there in its beak was a freshly plucked olive leaf. Then Noah knew that the water had receded from the earth.
And some of this might seem like we're repeating it, but we're setting a timeline and we want to prove it all by Scripture. So here we have the stamp, the 11th month, the 25th day. Now we've got 278 days plus 7 more. The duration of this is 7 more days, making 285. So the 12th month, the 2nd day of the month. And so that's where we're at now. And after 7 more days, Noah sent out the dove again, and it did not return.
Genesis 8:12, and he waited 7 more days, sent the dove out again, but this time it did not return to him.
And there's our time stamp. We're on the 2nd day of the 12th month now. Now we have 314 days. We have 29 days. Okay, the 601st year of Noah's life, the 1st month, and it's the 1st day of the month, which the 1st day of the month is New Moon Day. Noah removed the cover of the ark on the 1st day of the 1st month. The surface of the earth was dried up, and Noah could verify this to the extent of what he could see.
This is Genesis 8:12. By the 1st day of the 1st month of Noah's 601st year, the water had dried up from the earth. Noah then removed the covering from the ark and saw that the surface of the ground was dry.
Okay, the first day of the first month, and that is New Moon Day. And here shows the phases of the moon that tells you when the month begins, New Moon Day.
And yet another milestone is day 314. By this time, during the flood event, the biblical account indicates that the water had receded from off the continental land surfaces, sufficient for the surface of the landscape to essentially be dry, at least in the areas as far as Noah could observe.
Okay, now we're going to have 370 days. This is actually our total. 56 days is the duration. Okay, second month, 27th day of the month. The earth was dry, and Elohim commanded Noah's family and animals to come out of the ark. From the first day of the year, there were 29 more days left in the month, plus 27 more days left in the second month until the exit.
And this is Genesis 8, 14 through 17. By the 27th day of the second month, the earth was completely dry. Then Yahweh said to Noah, "Come out of the ark, you and your family and your sons and their wives. Bring out every kind of living creature that is with you, the birds and the animals and all the creatures that move along the ground, so they can multiply on the earth and be fruitful and increase on it, in number on it."
Okay, the second month, the 27th day, that is the last day. And here's a little review of all the math, this whole chart we went through. You have your 150 days, which includes your 40 days, then 74, then 47, 7, 7, then 29, and 56, for a total of 370 days. And about 11 months after the rain began, the waters dried up. That's what it says in Genesis 7:11 and 8:13. Exactly 1 year and 10 days after the flood began, Noah and his family emerged on dry ground. So here's a quote from Wikipedia about the calendar. In ancient times, 12 30-day months were used, making a total of 360 days for the year. The Genesis account of the flood and the days of Noah illustrated this 360-day year by recording the 150-day interval till the waters abated from the earth. In other words, it indicates a 5-month period as being exactly 150 days in length, or 5 30-day months. So there's your 360-day year proven by Noah. Now, the Creator's calendar has been in the past, and it's in the present. It's still in the heavens, isn't it? The moon still rises, and the quarter phases show when the Sabbaths are. And also, the Creator's calendar is going to be in the future. But as for the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Matthew 24:37. And I know you relate that to the wickedness of the earth, how it is right now, as in the times of Noah. But also, it's possible that it could be speaking of the calendar that Noah used will also be used at the time of the coming of the Son of Man. Because Jehovah said, "I am Jehovah, I change not." Malachi 3:6. So the Creator's calendar will be utilized until the end of time. The 360-day prophetic year is going to be in the future. We're going to see it happen, aren't we?
In biblical eschatology, a prophetic year or prophetical year is sometimes regarded as being different from an ordinary year, namely a 360-day period of time. The fact that the prophets understood a year as 360 days is well attested and can be seen in the prophecies of Daniel and Revelation. As seen in the use of time times and a half a time. That is, 1 plus 2 plus 0.5 is equal to 3.5 or 3.5. 1,260 days, and the quote and the statement 24 months. These references represent a period of 1,260 years, based on the 360-day Jewish year multiplied by 3.5. Divide 1,260 days by 42 months, and you will get a 30-day month, as 12 months of 30 days equals 360 days in a year. And that's taken from an article on Wikipedia on Prophetic Year.
Okay, thank you. So the Creator's calendar will be in the new earth also. We've seen it in the past, it's in the present, and the future with all the prophetic timelines using a 30-day month and a 360-day year. And we can read about this in Isaiah 66:23. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith Jehovah. And Psalms 19:1 says, the heavens proclaim the glory of Yah, the skies display his craftsmanship. So thank you for tuning in today, and many blessings. Thank you, Brother Pete, for helping with the reading, and we'll see you next time. And thank you for being here, and it's amazing about the Father's calendar. I just love hearing the Noah story, which proves it all.